A very good afternoon, children. Welcome to the English class. So hope you all doing great. And in the previous class you have studied idioms, right? So as always, let us start our class with the answers for the previous assignment. So first let us check what the assignment was. Use following idioms and make sentences. Yes, you have given 4 idioms and you had to make sentences of your own. So what were the idioms? On cloud 9, a piece of cake, burn the midnight oil, once in a blue moon. So these were the 4 idioms, right? So let me give you some of the sample answers now. So first, on cloud 9. Manushi Chiller was on cloud 9 when she won the Miss World title. Yes, you know this, right? Recently Manushi Chiller from India won the Miss World title. She might be very happy. So on cloud 9, very much happy. And a piece of cake. The interview was a piece of cake for me. So what does it mean? The interview was very easy. It was very easy for me. And what is the next idiom? Burn the midnight oil. Burn the midnight oil. Students usually burn the midnight oil during examination. Yes, what do you mean by burn the midnight oil? The last moment preparation, right? So usually you also do this. Students usually burn the midnight oil during the examinations. So when the exams comes, you will be in a hurry, you will rush to your books and you start making your last moment preparations, right? So and the last one, once in a blue moon. Okay, so the soldiers visit their family once in a blue moon, right? The soldiers visit their family once in a blue moon. What does it mean? The soldiers visit their family very rarely. Very rarely. Fine. So these are the sample answers for those idioms, right? So hope you have also done this assignment. You have written your own sentences, right? So with this, now let us move on to my today's session. Okay, so I'll start my class with a conversation. So here you have a situation where you can see a conversation between two friends, Vandana and Lata. Okay, so here I will read out the dialogues of Vandana
and I will read out the dialogues of Lata.
So let's start the conversations now. So please listen to the conversation carefully. Okay. Hello, how are you?
Hi Vandana, I'm fine. How about you?
Pretty well. What happened to your Scouts and Guides camp at Besant Park?
The headmaster has put forward a proposal. The management has to agree. If it comes through, I'll be happy.
How much money should you pay for it?
250 rupees. I have rupees 300 put aside for it.
Where will you stay?
We have to put up a tent and stay there.
It will be so nice. The management should not put down the proposal.
I'm sure they will look into the proposal and agree.
Hope for the best. Good luck.
Thank you.
So this was the conversation that held between two friends, Vandana and Lata. So yes, this was the whole conversation that held between Vandana and Lata. And here you could see some of the words being highlighted. right? So can anyone please stand up and read those words? Yes, anyone? Which is the first word? Yes, put forward. And the next, that is, yes, comes through. And which is the third word being highlighted there? Put aside. Yes, good. And the fourth word, that is put up. Good. And the last one, that is look into. So have you observed that? Put forward, comes through, put aside, put up, and look into. So what are these? You can see two words together, right? You can see two words together. So what do we call a word or a group of words or a set of words? We call them, what do we call them? We call them phrase, right? So a group or a word or a group of words or a set of words is called a phrase, right? So here some of the phrases have been highlighted. So now let us see the meaning of these phrases. Okay, so let us see the meaning of these phrases. So now the headmaster comes with the proposal to the management. Okay, the headmaster has put forward a proposal. So the words put forward is been highlighted there, right? The headmaster has put forward a proposal. So now let us see what is the meaning of this put forward. What do you mean by put forward? Place before somebody. You're placing before somebody. Placing before somebody. And yes, what happened there? So now the headmaster has placed the proposal before the management, and what they're doing to do, I'm sure they will look into the proposal and agree. So I'm sure they will look into the proposal and agree. So what is look into? What do you mean by look into? Does it mean just looking into something? You're just looking into something? No. Look into means examine or analyze something. Analyze something critically. So examine something, not just seeing something. Okay? So look into, it is not just looking at something or seeing something. And then the management has to approve. If it comes through, I'll be very happy. Yes, comes through, which comes through, it's been highlighted here. So what do you mean by comes through? So does it mean only coming something or coming towards you? No. So what is the meaning of comes through, children? Happens as intended. Okay, happens as intended. So what do you mean by happens as intended? Happening according to our wish. Happening, things are going according to our intention. Okay, so comes through means happens as intended. And then the management should not put down the proposal. The management should not put down the proposal. So what do you mean by put down? So whether the management should not put down, you should not put it or you should not place it down? No, which means reject. The management should not reject the proposal. The management should not disagree with the proposal, should not reject that proposal. So put down means reject. Okay, so put down means reject. And what is she doing there? She's keeping something very safely, right? Yes, it's rupees 250 and I have 300 rupees put aside for it. It's rupees 250 I have put aside. Okay, so the word highlighted here are put aside. So what do you mean by put aside now? So whether that is something you're placing something from one place to another, you're putting or you're placing something from one place to another, no, right? So put aside means keep it separately. So you're keeping that rupees 300 separately for a particular purpose. You're placing something safely, something separately for a definite purpose, for a particular purpose, and you're not going to use it for something else. You have an intention. So put aside means keep it separately for a particular purpose or a particular intention. Okay, so that is the meaning of put aside. Now we have to put up a tent and stay there. So here it is put up. What is she trying to say? We have to put up a tent and stay there. What does it mean? Does it mean they have to put or they have to place a tent in the air and stay there? Is it possible to stay in a tent over the air? No, right? It doesn't mean you have to place a tent in the air and stay there. So what does put up means? Build. Okay, so we have to build a tent and stay there. So put up, build. So not just placing something over, okay, not just placing something in the air. Okay, so put up, build. So we have to build a tent and stay there. So now you have the phrases on one side and their meanings on the other side. So what you have to observe here is whether these meanings are exactly the literal meaning of the words in the phrase. So are we giving the literal meaning of the words in the phrase? Just take a look at one of the phrase there. Look into. What is the meaning of look into? Examine, right? So look into, if you take the literal meaning, so look into, you can say you are just seeing at something. So what is the word here? You are taking those two words completely. You are taking it as a whole, as a phrase there. You're taking that set of word as whole, and the meaning is completely different there. You are not giving the literal meaning of the words there. Okay, you are considering those words all together as a whole, as a phrase. You are considering those words as a single, as a phrase, and the meaning of those words are not just the literal meaning, but they are the figurative meaning. So you have studied this in your previous class. If a word or a group of word which does not give any literal meaning but gives a figurative meaning, then they are called what, children? So a group of words which gives a figurative meaning instead of the literal meaning of the words, then we call them as idioms, right? Whole together you will consider, and that gives a different meaning. Yes, so then we call them as idioms. So these are not just phrases, but these are idiomatic phrases. Idiomatic phrases. Okay, so these are not just phrases, but these are idiomatic phrases. And now just again look at the first words of those phrases. Okay, look at the first words: put, look, comes, put, and put. So what are these words, children? So observe the first words only. Put, look, comes, and again put and put and put. So what are these words? These are, yes, you know the answers. So what are these words called? Action words. So what are action words? Exactly, they are verbs, right? So these are verbs here. And look at the other word in the phrase: forward, into, through, aside, up, down. So what are these words? So the first words are verbs, and what are the other words here? Forward, into, through, aside, up and down. So these are what, children? So these are verbs here, and these are, what are those? Prepositions. Okay, these are prepositions, right? So here you have idiomatic phrase with a verb and also prepositions, right? So let us see an idiomatic phrase. So what are these? An idiomatic phrase consisting of a verb and another element, typically either an adverb or a preposition. So in these phrases you can see only prepositions, but it need not be only prepositions, but it can also be an adverb or it can also be a preposition. So an idiomatic phrase consisting of a verb. So there is one common thing, that is a verb. Okay, there will be a verb, and that verb is supported by an adverb or a preposition, or sometimes you can find both adverb as well as preposition. Okay, or you can also call them as a verb that is made up of main verb together with an adverb or a preposition, or both. So either you can take these as idiomatic phrases, or you can also consider these as a verb, main verb that is made up of main verb together with an adverb or a preposition, or sometimes you can also see that main verb is supported by both adverb as well as preposition. Okay, so these are called what, children? These are called phrasal verbs. Okay, so in today's class we are going to learn on phrasal verbs. So now you got to know, right, what are phrasal verbs. So phrasal verbs are nothing but they are an idiomatic phrase. Either you can consider them as idiomatic phrase, or you can also consider them as verbs. Phrasal verbs are nothing but they are verbs in which you can find a main verb which is supported by an adverb or a preposition, or in some cases you can find both adverbs as well as preposition. So phrasal verbs, and it gives a completely different meaning. So that comes here. The meaning of phrasal verb is entirely different from the meaning of the individual words themselves. So I said you this before. So when you take up the phrasal verb, look into, so just look into the meaning of that phrasal verb is examine. So you're not taking the literal meaning of those words, but you are taking those words as it together, and it gives an entirely different meaning or a completely different meaning, right? So that is about phrasal verbs. So let us learn more about phrasal verbs with different exercises in today's session. So now you have an exercise. Okay, so replace the underlined word with the correct phrasal verb. So I'll show you an animation, and then I'll give you a sentence where I'll underline some of the words, and you have to replace that word with the correct phrasal verb. Okay, so just look at this animation. Okay, you have the animations on your screen. So what you can see in the screen, children? Yes, you can see a huge bungalow which has caught fire, and the fire extinguishers have arrived there, and they're putting the water over the house to stop the fire, right? So the house has caught the fire and the fire extinguishers are putting water over it to stop the fire there, right? So you got a clear idea about the picture, right? So now my question, so now let us check this sentence, okay? They managed to extinguish the fires. Here extinguish is been underlined, okay? They managed to extinguish the fire. Who? The fire extinguishers managed to extinguish the fire. So you have to replace the word extinguish with the proper or with the correct phrasal verb from the brackets. So you have the options there in the bracket, whether it is put out or it is stand by or it is turned up. So which is the right phrasal verb that can replace the word extinguish? Whether it is stand by, they managed to stand by the fire? No, right? And if you take up turned up, they managed to turn up the fire. So no. So they managed to put out the fire. Okay, they managed to stop the fire, extinguish the fire. Okay, so what is the meaning of the word put out? So they managed to put out the fire, put out, stop. Okay, to stop, to extinguish, to remove. The fire extinguishers managed to put out the fire. So then we have another example. So where you can see two friends were walking along the road and they met with an accident there. Okay, so they met with an accident and one of those friends had a serious injury and she wanted some blood. Okay, so now the other friend will donate her blood to save her friend. Okay, so what is the situation here? Two friends were walking along the street and they met with an accident, and in that accident one of the friend is seriously injured and she lost a large amount of blood, and now she needs some blood to save. And her friend who had the same blood group, maybe she helped by donating her blood to her friend, right? So true friends support one another in time of need. Yes, you might have very large number of friends, but the true friends, only the true friends will always be there to support you when you are in trouble, right? So which is the right word or the phrasal verb that can replace the word support? True friends support one another in time of need. True friends will always support each other in times of need, in times of help. Okay, when you are in trouble, they will support each other. So now the word support is been highlighted there. So you have to give me the right phrasal verb. So which could be the right phrasal verb there? Whether it is put out. What is the meaning of put out? Remove, stop or extinguish, right? So it cannot be the right phrasal verb. So what could be the right phrasal verb there? Yes, stand by. So what do you mean by stand by? Help. So I will be always there for you. So stand by. True friends stand by one another in time of need, which means two friends always stand by, support one another, stand by one another, help one another. So a true friend will always be there for you in times of need. When you are in trouble, he will always be there to help you. So stand by, help, support. Okay, So now let us have one more example. So what you can see in the picture, children? Yes, you can see uh, a music concert happening on the stage, right? You can see a music concert there, and large people have arrived, right? You can see a big number of people there, or the audience. So the sentence here, you have a number of people arrived for the music concert. Yes, you could see that in the animation, right? You could see the music concert was going on the stage. Some boy was singing and the people were gathered there. The large number of audience have gathered there, right? So a number of people arrived for the music concert. So which is the right phrasal verb there? A number of people turned up for the music concert. So which is the right word? Turned up. Okay, so turned up and arrived, come in, okay, gathered. Okay, a number of people arrived for the music concert. A number of people turned up for the music concert. So here you could see again turned up. So does it mean just turning upside? No, right? So here again, what is a phrasal verb? Which also gives a different meaning, not the literal meaning. You cannot take the literal meaning of the words, but when you consider those words together, it gives a different meaning. You could see that in this example also. Turned up, it doesn't mean you are just looking upside, but arrived. You can also say the guest has arrived, the guests have turned up to the function. So this is what? Turned up, arrived. And now here you have one more situation where you can see a classroom and the class teacher is distributing the marks cards, and here a boy received his marks card, and what was his mark? 45 out of 100. So when you get 45 out of 100, will you be happy about it? No, right? You will not be happy about it. It is not such a good mark, so you will obviously feel sad, right? So here also the boy feels very sad at looking at his marks, so he started crying. Okay, so the boy saw his marks card and dash. So what did he do? The boy saw his marks card and started crying, right? So here I need the proper phrasal verb or the correct phrasal verb and fill that blank. So you have the options in the bracket there: break out, cut down, break down, give away, come out. So you have the options there. So you have to choose the right phrasal verb and fill that blank. The boy saw his marks card and broke out. Is that the right one? No, right? The boy saw his marks card and broke down. Okay, so the boy saw his marks card and broke down. What do you mean by broke down? So the boy saw his marks card and broke down. And yeah, a fire dash in the forest. A fire dash in the forest. The fire broke out. Okay, so here it was break out, but when you fill up the blank, you can use the proper form of the word. So maybe if the sentence is in the past tense, so you can use broke out. Okay, the fire broke out in the forest. A fire broke out in the forest. Fire spread out. Broke out, spread out in the forest. So now the chief guest dashed the prizes. So what is the next Example here, the chief guest dashed the prizes. The chief guest gave away. Okay, the chief guest gave away the prizes. Okay, the chief guest gave away the prizes. The chief guest distributed the prizes. Gave away, which means distributed or give something. And then we have the match the following. So where you have the phrasal verbs on column A and the meanings on column B. So what you have to do is you have to match the phrasal verbs in column A with the correct meanings in the column B. So far you have looked many examples and you have come across these words. So this is just like a recall. Okay, you just have to recall. Let us see how much you have understood and how much you have stored inside your mind. Yes? Okay. So what do you mean by breakdown? So the first phrasal verb, that is breakdown. So we have already used this word in our previous example, right? So what is breakdown? Yes? You have seen this in the previous example. When the boy got the mascot, what did he do? He broke down, right? So what is the meaning of breakdown? Cry. Okay? Crying. So when he got less marks, he started crying, right? So breakdown and cry. And what is stand by? Yes, stand by. You have use this phrasal verb in the example, right? In one of the example, that was the two friends met with an accident, and you have a sentence there. True friends always stand by each other. What do you mean by stand by? Yes, very good, children. Stand by means support each other, right? Support each other. So what is the next phrasal verb here? Put down. Yes, put down. In the first situation you have used this, right? Put down. The management should not put down the proposal. So what do you mean by put down? Yes, very good. You're right. It is reject. The management should not reject the proposal, right? So what do you mean by put down? Reject. And look into. So what do you mean by look into? Is it just looking at something or seeing something? No. Yes? Louder. Yes, very good. Look into means examine or analyze. And turned up. So what do you mean by turned up? Just turning upside? No. What is turned up? Turned up means gather or arrived. Arrived. And what is the last phrasal verb we have? Put aside. So what is put aside? Yes, very good. That is keep separate. So put aside, keep separate. So your put aside means keeping something separately for a particular purpose, for a particular intention, and you're not going to use that for anything else. Okay, so you have something for some particular purpose, so then you say it as put aside or keep separate. Okay, so this is what we have learned in this class. Okay, so last we have the assignment. Make sentences using these phrasal verbs. Okay, so you have three phrasal verbs. Using these phrasal verbs, again you can make very many sentences, so make at least one sentences each. Okay, put forward, cut down, give away. So take down the words quickly. We are running out of time, so take down the words quickly. Put forward, cut down, and give away. Okay, so I think you have understood and you have enjoyed today's session. So in today's session we have studied about the phrasal verbs, right? So what are phrasal verbs? The verbs with the main verb supported by either an adverb or a preposition, and the meaning of that phrasal verb is always different from the literal meaning. So we are not taking the literal meaning of the words, but we are taking it as a whole, and it gives a different meaning, right? So I think you have enjoyed this session. So if you have any doubts, you can call the number displayed and clarify your doubts. So thank you so much, children. We'll see you in the next class.